Hello and welcome to Under the Arch Sports. I am David, and today we're going to be talking to you about Mizzou basketball. But before we do that, please remember to hit the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and remember to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages. Now, before we begin, I want to say this season has caught a lot of people by surprise, and by people I'm talking about national media, uh, even local media by that standards, because the last couple of years Mizzou has not been that great. However, so far this season we have a 5-0 start with 2 wins over ranked teams. How about that? Also, Mizzou is now officially number 16 in the AP poll and number 18 in the coaches poll. So they are starting to garner some attention now, especially after the win against Illinois, who at the time was ranked number 6 in the country. Before we get into a little of that, though, let's take a look at our season so far. Mizzou beat Oral Roberts 91-64 to open up the season. Then they played Oregon at a neutral court in Nebraska, beating them 83-75 and pretty much handled them all game. Next, they beat Wichita State in the same type of fashion, 72-62. That was a road game at Wichita State, which will be big for potential NCAA bubble bid if Mizzou happen to be borderline to get into the tournament. Next, Mizzou knocked off Liberty at home, 69-60, and Liberty is a very solid mid-major team who knocked off Mississippi State and South Carolina. Mizzou didn't play particularly well in the first half of that game, but in the second half ended up running away with the game, asserting their dominance and showing their depth as well. And then finally, you had the bragging rights game, which happened on December 12th against Illinois here in Mizzou Arena. No fans. It was kind of sad to see there were no fans in that game because that was a game that really garnered a true bragging rights atmosphere, in my opinion. Mizzou took the lead fairly early in the game and never really relinquished it until the end of the game. Granted, there were some aspects that I didn't like, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but that's more of a rant for college basketball in general, not Mizzou sports. However, I will say, if you told me Jeremiah Tillman and Mark Smith, probably the 2 best players on the team outside of Xavier Pinson, did nothing in this game and spent a lot of time on the bench, a.k.a. Tillman had foul trouble and was on the bench, and you told me Mizzou was going to win, I would have told you you're probably crazy. But, however, that's exactly what happened in that game. Mark Smith did not have his best game. Xavier Pinson ended up doing his thing, scoring, I want to say it was 18 points off the top of my head. And then Javon Pickett continuing his bragging rights expose, scoring an average of 15 points each game. He continues to impress. I wish he could play like that every game and not just Illinois, because on the season he's averaging about 7 points a game. However, I'll talk a little bit more about him too as we get into this. Just digging into some stats for Mizzou, though. Compared to last year, their three-point shooting is a little bit better. However, last year they shot around 29% from the three-point line. This year, however, though, they're only shooting about 31%. Not a lot of difference, and they're taking about as many shots as they were last year in these games. The bigger difference, though, however, is the field goal range from 2 is much different. Last year, Mizzou shot about 48% from the field, while this year the Tigers are shooting around 61%. Based off those numbers, you're talking about 5 or 6 more baskets a game on your offensive possessions, which is a huge, huge difference. And some of that has to be attributed to the pace of play. Mizzou this year is allowing Pinson and the Tigers to actually run the ball, and Konzo's done a good job of taking the good and bad with Xavier Pinson. While he's prone to give up a turnover, I think he's averaging like 3 a game. here and there. He's not yanking him out, and he's allowing him to use his speed and get those fast breaks, which gives the Tigers easy layups. And even in the Illinois game, they had 20 fast break points. Compared to years past, this team hardly ever got out and ran. So because of that, they're getting a lot of easier baskets, which is attributing to their field goal percentage. And it's allowing the defense to do their thing, because now if they poke away a ball for a steal or something, they're immediately on a run trying to get a fast break point. So it's a little bit different style of play, and it's a lot of fun to watch. This brings me up to a little bit of a negative, mainly, and it has nothing to do with the Tigers at all. It's about officiating in college basketball. Let's face it, we know it's already bad, but especially the Illinois game, it was especially bad. You can't have a basketball game with 59 whistles, especially against two top teams who are physical. You have to let them play. Essentially, by blowing your whistle, you're changing the game. Jeremiah Tillman only had like 13 minutes of gameplay because of the fouls called against him. And a lot of them were touch fouls, or they weren't even really fouls. They were like phantom calls, if you were. And this goes both ways in that game. The fouls called weren't lopsided from one team or the other. Now, maybe it might look like that based on when they were called, but if you look at the overall stat line, the foul calls were pretty even. To Mizzou's advantage, because they're such a good free throw shooting team, though, that's what ended up sealing the game against the Illini. So in that respect, it turned it out well for Mizzou. However, I feel like they're constantly losing fans by having just terrible officiating, because the fans get restless and sick of it. You're talking about constant stops, and there's no flow to the game, which could affect your shooters too. Now, Mizzou has, over the last couple of years, shown they're not a very good jump shooting team. However, some of that could be attributed to the fouls. Another thing Mizzou has this year in basketball is they're deep and they're healthy. If you look through the lineup, and then this attributes to their field goal percentage shooting, every single player who has put up shots is averaging over 50% from two, with the exception of Jordan Wilmore, who's only 1 for 3, and that's mainly because he hasn't played a whole lot. What that tells you is Konzo Martin has a rotation going. He's played about 9 guys on average. And they're all very experienced players. So because of that, he's letting his team play basketball the way they want to play, which is fast, hard-nosed defense, and it's just really, really, really fun to watch. And it's producing results. And the team actually looks like they're having a lot of fun out there, which during this COVID era is a huge, huge plus, because the bench and the team itself has to provide the energy because there's no fans in the stadium, or very few fans in the stadium. It'll be interesting to see how Mizzou approaches the conference season once it's coming up. Their next couple of games, they play Friday, December 18th against Prairie View at 7 p.m. It's a home game. And then they play Bradley on December 22nd. Now, that game has not been set. There's no time set yet, and I'm thinking that's for TV purposes. But Bradley will be another good mid-major challenge, I think, for Mizzou, and then another good resume builder. And then after that, their first conference game is December 30th against Tennessee, who's ranked right now in the top 10 in the polls. So that will be a really good matchup. There could possibly be another game or two added, again, with the issue of the COVID virus. The schedule has been in flux. I know they were talking about adding another game within the next week or so, and then talks have fallen through. So who knows if they're going to add another game or not. But as it stands, Mizzou is 5-0 with a potential to be 7-0 going into conference play. and they look to be in a prime position to make a run for the top of the SEC. If anything, they're one of the top 3 teams right now based off what I've seen in the conference. Plus, they've provided the marquee win that the conference has needed out of conference because the rest of the conference hasn't been doing very well. Hopefully, they can continue to keep playing like this and continue to build their resume. Guys, I just want to say I'm very excited. I think Missouri has a team and a good basketball team, and I think they're definitely going to be tournament bound. How far they go, I'm not sure. What their ceiling is, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure they're a top 25 team. However, what they have shown so far, based on what I've seen in the COVID era, they are a top 25 team. And one of the key things, especially in COVID era, is they're an older team. There's a lot of experience, and they have a lot of things going for them. So keep an eye on them. Enjoy watching these games while you can, and enjoy yourself some Mizzou basketball. Anyway, thank you for watching Under the Arch Sports. I'm David. Please remember to check out our Instagram, Facebook page, and thank you for watching.